So believe me, from that moment, when that next opportunity came and I took it, I actually ended up overtaking the person that was giving the feedback and ended up in a much better position and in a stronger leadership position down the line. And I was like, that's what happens when you're not transparent and you're not honest and you're not helping pay it forward for people that are growing up.
Welcome to the show, Jaime. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I love that this has finally come together because we've been in talks about you getting on here for a few months. But I heard you speak at the Veuve Clicquot Bold panel, where what you talked about, the way you presented, I was just like, I need to have this woman on my podcast. The personal brand element, I think you were just doing very naturally. And I thought there's way more that we can explore. So can you give everyone that's watching and listening a little bit of a background as to who you are and what does Jaime do?
Absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you for having me. It's so good to be here, and I'm sorry it took us so long to connect.
No problem.
It's worth it, hopefully.
Absolutely.
But look, for me, what a background. I'm an Australian by birth, and I have one parent that's a Kiwi and one that's an Aussie. So they actually live in New Zealand now. So I graduated school in New Zealand and I couldn't wait to travel the world. So for me, it was very much, what can I do? Hospitality was always the thing I was interested in. So I educated myself and I never went back. So I'm now 7 countries down the line and over the last 20 years. And now I have the family along with me. I have 3 children and we also have a blended 2 that are with us. So we're a family of 5. And I'm now in probably the most wonderful hotel for this time of my life and in a great city, which is in Jumeirah, Mina, Salam. I'm the general manager and I've enjoyed this journey. I've worked for corporate companies the whole way through, but one of my goals was always luxury. So I really feel with joining Jumeirah and coming into this position in Dubai is exactly where I'm meant to be right now.
Yeah, I love it. What was it that you love so much about the luxury piece who doesn't love luxury? But then in an industry to work in, what was it and why did you want to go into it?
The biggest draw card for me was the personalised service aspect. You can't deliver that when you're doing mid-scale or you're doing corporate. But when you work in a leisure corporate mix, in a place like Dubai where people come for both and you're in a resort environment, in amazing assets on an incredible commercial beachfront that is so exclusive, that to me is the best luxury money can buy. Guests love it. There's a huge loyalty. They're iconic properties and we can deliver memories. And we can deliver the promise of the brand. And that's what I love and what I'd been missing. So it was a match in heaven for me to join the company.
So I think that's a really interesting piece is what then makes, in your opinion, someone that goes and works with a luxury brand, luxury themselves?
It depends on the area you work, to be really honest, because there's so much skill that's involved for different aspects in hospitality. Some roles you can come in and do on-the-job training, and they're personality-based. You've got the right attitude, you've got the right personality, you've got the right drive. We're going to give you the skills, and we're going to get you into those positions. But you want to grow with the company, you've got to come in with some specialty, some technical expertise, and some educated knowledge as well to be able to add more and evolve the brand and involve the operation into something more and put your touch on it as well. So I think, when we're looking at hiring anybody for any position, the most important is character and personality.
Yeah, which is your personal brand, I suppose, at the end of the day. So let's kind of take a step back. So through that journey to get into the position now, because if I'm right, there's not many female GMs in the region, is there?
There's not. There should be more.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think there's a multitude of reasons for this. And I found, even for myself in my own personal journey, that it's always difficult coming back to work after having children.
Yeah.
And you do get sidestepped and you do find yourself pigeonholed at points whether people believe you can do the role because there is an expectation on the working hours. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation. You also are going to miss holiday periods and important times, and you've got to be very strong in balancing your personal and work life, because you can't be good at both all the time. And some days one's going to take precedence over the other, and you need to be really confident to be able to manage that and still give 100% of yourself to everything at all the times. So I find that a lot of women choose to move out of operations as general managers in hotels, and they're still working in the industry, but in different forms or ways they can contribute to the operations overall. And it's not me. I'm an operational person, and I wouldn't be great if you put me in an office in front of a computer all day.
Yeah.
I'd probably go mad. I'd drive people crazy. I love the diversity of, I have a plan when I come in the morning, and by 10 o'clock, 12 of my meetings have changed and moved around, but people are used to it. And there's something will pop up and something else will take precedence. And, at times I'll get a call from the kids and say, I'm sick or I need this, and then my day will change again. And that flexibility and adaptability isn't for everybody every day. But I love what I do, and I think that's the most important thing, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
Well, I think you've got the element then, if you love what you do, your cup is filled.
Yes.
And then you can, so then there's, there's things that you've missed out on if you weren't a stay-at-home mom or that environment. But because you're happy and feel fulfilled, I feel that would then bring a better person home.
You are so right. I'm a better mother by being a working mother.
Yeah.
And honestly, I struggled when I wasn't working and I was looking after the children when they were small, and I lost my identity because I wasn't being stimulated in the same way mentally. And don't take me wrong, I loved the time I had with my children. I just couldn't see myself doing it full time. And I have full respect for the mums that do it, because that's not the best version of me. Yeah. The best version of me is juggling and, is prioritising different aspects of my life. And, I want the children to see me working. I want them to also know that mummy loves going to work. It's not mummy has to go to work because this is what mummy needs to do, because I want them to be passionate one day about what they're doing. And I think that's just so important in messaging as a working mum. I don't get it right all the time. And, I do drop balls, and then, I have to pick them up and clean up the mess around. But that's part of life. And but balance is it's different for everybody, let's say.
It's true. That piece about your children and seeing you go to work, I remember having a conversation with my mum, and I can't remember what age I was. And I said to her, I don't want to go to school today. Why can't I go to work? And she said, well, no, you go to work because you have to pay the bills. And I was like, but why? You're just going to work to pay the bills? Why? And I didn't understand that. And I don't know if that's then deep down somewhere made me pursue the life that I have, travel into starting my own business. The priority for me is selfishly doing something I really want to do. And mum's situation, all of that is very different. But there was that moment where I was like, I don't want to be doing something because I have to do that.
You're so right. And that was what I never wanted my children to ever walk away and go, I didn't see mum because she had to go to work and feel shortchanged. I want them to know they get the best of everything. They have choices in life, and you can pick something that you love. So it's a happy thing to go to work, not a difficult thing to go to work.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's difficult, don't get me wrong, but I don't tell them that.
The bed of roses always. So that career journey, you've moved to so many different places. How have you always kind of kept on top of, was it personal development or not even new trends, but just always being aware to be visible, to be promoted so that you could be moved? What are some of the things that you've done?
So I think for me, part of the luck I've had is being able to work across many different cultures. So my flexibility and adaptability kept evolving. And I realised I had to change the way I presented in different situations for being able to get what I needed across the line. But always having a strong vision and knowing what I want to achieve, but I can't achieve it the same way everywhere all the time.
Okay, that's an interesting observation. Yeah.
And I never wanted to mimic other people or copy other leaders. I have many people that have inspired me and mentors along the way. And there were threads of how they made me feel that I wanted to make sure I emulated as I got into a position to be able to influence as well. And today it's really, really important for me also messaging to the team that your reputation is more about your credibility. And I think the authentic piece of being confident enough to have your values and give your personality and have your line and take your pick of where you're going to stand and draw that line in the sand is really important. And it's okay. It's not going to be the same for everybody, but it's right for you and right for where you're at. It's going to help them grow. It's going to help you also evolve, because you can't stay the same. You've got to change as you continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that journey piece there, what's been one of the standout things that you think you've done that's really propelled you to the next level? Was there a conversation you really stood up for, or was there an initiative that you launched? I don't know, is there something within that?
There's a lot of that, but the instinct when you asked me that question was to tell you something that I would never, ever want to happen to somebody else. And I promised myself I would never, ever allow it to happen on my watch. And I remember being in a situation where I was growing to the next level. I was ready. I'd hit all the margins. I'd done the extra steps. I was feeling super ready. I'd channeled what I wanted to do. No one was confused about what my growth was. And senior executive team got together to have the conversation and get the feedback, kind of like 360 to see, discuss me and to see, was I ready for that next step?
And were you part of that discussion?
I was not part of that discussion. And
is that normal, by the way?
It can be, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
In a corporate environment, we want to make sure we always are growing people. It's really important in hospitality. So we actually have plans put in place going, when person X goes, we want person Y to come in. What does person Y need to do to get to that level? And we make them a plan. And then there's goals and there's development training, and they achieve everything. We go, we now feel confident that this person is going to be successful in this role, because we don't want to over promote. We don't want someone to go into a role and fail and then they lose their confidence and we lose the person. So we're quite structured in this. So it was my turn to be discussed of, does everyone agree Jaime is ready? And it was also part of your annual appraisal. You're getting the feedback. So they were discussing, I was going to get the feedback. Now, when I got the feedback from my boss said to me, your score is X. I can't remember what it was, but it was lower than I expected. And I said, okay, that's really interesting. I'd like to know why, because all the feedback I've been given up until now has been to the contrary of this result. I find this result poor, and I'd like to know where I'm ranked against the other people that I'm being measured against. And that was uncomfortable for me to be direct. He couldn't answer me. So I said, where is this coming from if it's not a natural answer straight away from you? So he said, look, some of the feedback came from another manager and maybe you should have a conversation. I said, I welcome that. So it turned out the conversation was someone I didn't report to, but had given some feedback that was emulating and they were listening to that I potentially wasn't quite ready. And I was quite shocked. So I welcomed that conversation. And when I had the conversation, the person actually backed down and couldn't stand up to the argument when they were being asked directly. So they changed their tune and changed the result and didn't like the conflict of the confrontation because they weren't expecting it, I believe, as well. And I didn't like that feeling. I felt it wasn't productive and it wasn't healthy, and it certainly wasn't helping me grow. I'm the first one. If someone tells me I need to do something, might not like to hear it, but I'm going to make sure that I emulate it the next time.
Yeah, of course.
So that I'm showing that I can change and be adaptable. And sometimes I can't do what people tell me. So for example, I had some feedback recently that people want some more time with me. And these are people I spend time with. I was thinking, I haven't got any time left in my day. I'm going to have to be more productive in the conversations I have with them rather than give them more minutes. So this is where, I take the feedback, but I also have the discussions with them, and I make sure I always ask them, do you need anything more from me? So when it came back to getting this feedback, I was really let down, and I said, I now feel like I have a roadblock in my development because it doesn't matter now that this conversation hasn't resulted in specific feedback for me to change, but it's definitely put a question mark in people's minds whether I'm ready for this role or not.
But also the trust.
The trust was gone.
Absolutely, because hang on a minute, you've backed down off something, but because you've challenged. So if you had not challenged that, you'd have been sitting in a position where...
I was overrun and it would have passed me by. And I didn't like that feeling. And I never want people to feel they're being held back as well. I'd rather tell them they're not ready for a reason than to not have that honest conversation. And I didn't have an honest conversation coming in my direction. So it was interesting after that. I want to prove people wrong, and I also want to drive results. It's my nature. So believe me, from that moment when that next opportunity came and I took it, I actually ended up overtaking the person that was giving the feedback.
Oh, I love it.
And ended up in a much better position and in a stronger leadership position down the line. And I was like, that's what happens when you're not transparent and you're not honest and you're not helping pay it forward for people that are growing up. So that's why when you ask me that question, it's not so much what I've done, it's what's made me drive to get there and the things that I really want to stand for. And I really want to help the team get there. And that's why I love what I do as well. Apart from the hospitality piece, I love the people development. And that's become something really important to me, to see people grow. They're not always going to get there. And some of them are going to let you down. And hospitality is a piece where sometimes they'll leave for 10 dirham more to the competition. And you can't stop that because there's governance and there's rules, and we can't promote everybody and pay everybody all the time what they're expecting. But if they're on this plan and we make a commitment and you work in a company like Jumeirah, it's amazing when you see how much growth there is for individuals.
I love that. What would you say is the biggest myth in your industry, if you'd like to kind of bust one in the hospitality industry? And
can I bust a couple?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, so the first one, I did allude to it, and for me it's true, which is that the hospitality industry is 24 hours, 7 days a week, irregular working hours, and it's a horrible industry to work in. You have no personal life.
And you've got no life,
and you miss out on everything.
I've heard that somewhere before.
Yeah. Look, it's true for some roles, but in all honesty, we have roles in hospitality that are support roles. So if you're going to work in operations, you could be on a morning shift or a late shift or a night shift, but it's not your whole career. It's a portion of your career. If you're working in human resources, in marketing, even, the finance, you've got administration hours. We're not asking you to be there when the guests are having their dinner at 10 p.m. But this is different characters of the different roles you want. But for me, I put in the hard yards when I was young. I didn't have children. So I was okay with that. And I loved the craziness. And if somebody said, I'm tired and, I want to go home early or I'm missing out, I was like, are you mad? You've got to work these hours to get ahead. And so I think that's a myth, in that you can't find a role, that works for you, and you can evolve as you grow. So the hours I work now, they're still, people say, how do you do it? But I can manage them. They're less than what I used to do, and they're more regular in a way as well. And I still have time for my family. The second one is that hospitality people are undereducated or not educated.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Some roles you can enter and we're going to teach you the skill. That could be housekeeping, that could be to be a waiter for the first time, that could be a bellboy, that could be a valet driver. You come in, we help you, show you our processes, give you the manual, and off you go. Okay, maybe you might not grow the whole way to being a GM. It's not impossible, but you are going to need an education. I have a master's degree, and I promise you I wouldn't have got the visas to work in some of the countries in senior leadership roles if I didn't have the qualifications. It's just a basic when you're in an executive level. So I worked hard, and I see more and more people coming into the industry that have these degrees. They're not always a hospitality degree, but they are an education. My senior director of HR, he was educated as a lawyer. And and, look at his transference into the role, and he loves the industry. And he's like my brother, we're yin and yang together
Which
with everything we do, which I love it.
Yeah.
And, I love that he's also got that diversity in his background. So when you scratch the surface of people in hospitality, we're quite interesting, and we're a really interesting, strange bunch, I should say, the way we come together.
But I think it takes a personality to want to work with it. Coming from crew many years ago and working full time with people, I love working with people, and that is really what I enjoy. But it's not for everyone.
No, it's not. Definitely not. Some people can just be frustrated by the conversations and the small talk. You think about people, but then you think about guests, We're talking to our guests all day. Yeah. And the frontline staff are the ones doing most of the talking and interacting. So you have to have the personality.
Your brand ambassadors that are out there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that impressed me was your personal brand and you seeing that within your role, despite being part of a big family within Jumeirah, that you have your own Jaime personal brand. And I see that there's opportunities where you're invited to speak on panels. And how has that evolved? Is that something that you've actively gone towards or you enjoy it? Tell me a little bit about that.
A bit of both. I mean, I love meeting people like you. And then I've got so much to say. So along the way, I've met people that have given me these opportunities. And it wasn't so much the conversation, it was how people reacted to it. I had so many people come to me after I did a presentation within Jumeirah and just talking about my role as a female leader as part of International Women's Day one year. And afterwards, I had people grab me after and say, "Thank you, I needed to hear that." And I thought, why don't more people talk? Why aren't we sharing these experiences? So then I started to seek out more, and I had a wider audience then. And I found one of the things that people don't talk about a lot is being a working mum, because it's not that easy for everybody. And, you do sacrifice a lot. But people don't talk about it. We tend to always want to show the glass is half full, and sometimes it's half empty. And, we do have bad days, and we do have times that we hit hurdles, and it's how you react and how you come back from those moments. And I just like to share because I also want people to know they're not alone. But it was interesting when I started to have the conversations or share my experiences, which, were very individual. I was shocked at how many other people said, "Oh, same. That's same for me. I felt that way," or "That happened to me," or "Thank you, because I'm having a bad day today and I wanted to know that it's going to be okay. And when I hear you, I know I can get there." So there's that inspirational piece of, just bringing people with you along the way. And that's how it started for me.
Yeah. And then it's something that within the team, are you actively encouraging them as their personal brand as well?
And we've got to do more of it. I want people to be confident to be themselves and to step out of our corporate shell. Sometimes we can be quite reserved and we can try to emulate or copy and imitate other leaders within the company rather than be ourselves. So I can't copy people because I can't help who I am, but I do take traits from people that I respect and go, "That was really well handled and I'm going to do that next time." So I'm an encourager of this at the moment, and I also like my team to be themselves. So I'm very open. We talk, we spend all our time together. It's my work family. And I refer to some of them sometimes as my work children. And, we have a really good time together and they're growing. And that sometimes they're growing too quickly and I'm losing them and they're going on to fabulous opportunities within the company. But I'm like so proud and saying goodbye, good luck, stay in touch. Yeah. But, that also gives the people left behind hope. That there's more coming up. But the people that are successful are because they know what they're doing with their brand. They make sure they're networking with the right people, that they have visibility, that they're clear and concise about what they want and what their next goal is. And it's good to be like that, because the more you are able to articulate what you want to do, the more we can help as well.
I think that's something really nice. There was 2 points on that, but leaning into the personal brand piece when other organisations actually are quite fearful of supporting their employees' personal brand. Oh, you're spending time on LinkedIn. Are you looking for a new job? Or it's, why are you doing that? You're going to go off and leave us. What would you say to kind of leaders that have that kind of mindset?
I think it's a fine line on advice for that, because companies do have really strong views on it. I really believe that, social media is a tool, LinkedIn's a tool of public networking as well. And I think it comes down to more in hospitality, which can be a little bit conservative, is being careful about what you post and what you need to align yourself with your personal brand. If you're too active, you're not standing for anything. But if you're very choosy on what you comment on, that it's alongside the brand, that you're promoting your brand, that you're celebrating successes of the brand and your people, that is my personal brand piece coming to life. But if I see someone, on the platform contacting everybody, commenting on everything, they're losing credibility for me already. So, that's how I look at it.
A more focused strategy, but it is very possible. But I was curious to get another take on that as well. There was another aspect that I really liked that I wanted to touch on, was you had mentioned earlier on and just touched on it before about you can't emulate anyone else and then you're not being truly authentically you, but there was a thread. And I really like the visual analogy of threads of things that people have said and done. And you've thought, I'll take that piece of thread into, maybe that's my fashion background coming out now. But the visual piece of that, I think, is wonderful. Where all these people have told you things and you bring that into the DNA of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been lucky to have some really charismatic leaders that I've worked with, and their energy and their pulse has been amazing. So it's like I wanted to take the best bits of all the people I met along the way, remember those moments and keep them for myself. And, I love that presence that we have in hospitality, and I always want to be present. I want the team to know when I'm there. Yeah. And I love that. And I think also that's also a chapeau or a thank you to the people that have helped me along the way, because as it happens and I look at where they are, they're still in touch and they're still checking in, and they're happy to see that I also haven't let them down. They saw something in me, so that made me more determined to make sure I achieved what I needed to, because I'd set that for myself. But in a way, I'm also giving them the sense of being proud because they gave me a leg up at one point in my career.
I love that as well. So if you were looking to employ someone within the hospitality industry, or even just kind of through a leadership, what do you look for? Like, what really stands out?
Personality.
It is personality.
It's 100% personality. I always say we can teach the skill, but we can't teach a personality. So if somebody comes in and lights up the room and they don't have a long time to do it, and you catch that, that's a person that we need to explore further. And we have open days, and we take a lot of interns as well from the hospitality schools around the world. And it's like speed dating. We there, all of the brands are present. We want to grab, everyone wants to take the best of the best, and you don't have long to sell your brand. They don't have long to sell. And, we'll see hundreds of people within the day, and we want to catch the best ones. So it becomes very much about, what's my first impression? How are you engaging with me? Because I think of myself then as a guest. If I bump into you in a service sequence within the hotel, how do you greet me? It can be as simple as your eyes are alight. You've got a big smile. You are happy, you are excited to give a little bit about yourself away, then I know you're married to this industry. You'll go far.
Is there been someone that you can think of? You don't need to name names, that you've had that they're the one for us, and then they've kind of stayed with you through the...
Oh, so many.
Really?
Oh, so many. So many. A lot of them are still with me now. I actually had one of my senior managers come in today to the office to talk to me about a situation. And she started it off with, I have something to tell you. and my face dropped. I thought, she's going to tell me that she's got an offer and I really don't want to deal with this. It better be something good if I'm going to lose you. Had all gone through my head in like 1 second. And she saw my face and she went, don't worry, I'm not leaving. And I went, oh, thank goodness, I'm not ready for that conversation. And she was laughing and I was going, oh, okay, now you can tell me anything.
But that has been someone from early days.
The minute that I met her, I said, she is for me, she is for this company, and she is going to go far.
I love that. And that trust from there as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, so good. So on those nice experiences, I think in hospitality you have so many. My book is called De-Seed the Lemon. And the concept behind that is it's the attention to detail. Something as simple as de-seeding the lemon, which is what my Scottish granny used to do. It's the small things that make the big difference and consistently doing them. And I think in the hospitality industry, that is de-seeding the lemon. Is there something that you can think of recently or a best experience either within your hotel or you've experienced where something's de-seeded the lemon in your expectations?
Do you know, it's daily.
Yeah.
The consistency piece is hard in hospitality because there's multiple people that are giving the same message to the guest. So we're very much about personalised service. So we feel like we're trying to do that consistency on a much bigger scale. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. A frustration was I was meeting with a guest and it was the second day in the same club lounge having the same meal. But he'd had it the day before and he has the same thing all the time, which is a Americano and avocado toast with some scrambled eggs. That's all he has for breakfast and he loves it. So we're on day 2 and they came and said, would you like a tea or coffee? Can I take your order? And I was like, wow, how did we miss the personalised piece in the same lounge with a team of small people? But it's because it's transient and we've got people that are moving in and out day off and the communication hadn't happened, and that could have been a delightful experience to say, good morning, Mr. X, can I give you the X and X that you had yesterday? And that could have been a delightful moment of recognising, what the guest wanted. So we are struggling with this every day. This is part of the consistency, and we have such standards and procedures, and we have colleagues in place to make sure we do the right thing. But we also have to empower the team. So the other day, actually, there was a honeymoon couple coming. Now, they'd been married in the UK the day before. They're flying in the next day for their honeymoon. So one of the team members managed to get a photo that was posted of them just married and walking down the aisle with that wonderful happiness on their face holding hands. And so what the team did is, yes, we give champagne, we give beautiful flowers, we give decadent amenities to celebrate that moment, but all guests get that. But what they did was they printed the photo, put it into a frame and popped it into the room. So and nice. We're like, congratulations, for your future and amazing wedding. I got a message from the guest the next morning on WhatsApp saying, thank you so much. I arrived in the room and I cried and they were tears of joy. Don't worry. But what a way to arrive now where we just can't wait to celebrate our week and we feel so blessed that you made that effort. I didn't make that effort. The team made that effort. And that's that piece on empowerment that's so important, that the team can be themselves and find those things that are going to touch our guests by talking to them, knowing what's important, going that extra mile. And I find if we can have more people doing those sort of acts, then we're really going to achieve what luxury should be.
I love that. I love how that's come to that. That is the perfect example of de-seeding the lemon. And I'd love to do all your guests have your mobile number in WhatsApp.
I'm very generous. It's on my business card. But I find most guests, if they can't find that, they tend to send me a message on LinkedIn.
Oh, do they?
So I'm really bad because I don't every day prioritize my LinkedIn. I'll be very, very honest. I have a lot of messages and a lot of meetings and a lot of people, but I try and go a few times a week. But sometimes I look and think, oh, they messaged like 4 days ago and now they're in the hotel. Now I need to contact them.
So they do seek you out?
They do.
And is that just the connection has a great time, or do you, because now there's no, before it was always really hard to speak to the GM, and now that's easier.
It's definitely easier, but I find, some conversations are not going to go well. I would like a complimentary room because I want to sell you this product. There's a process for all of this, and you're not going to get the answer you want, but I'll let you know what it is. But some people are, maybe like, oh, I'm having difficulty getting a booking somewhere, or I want to go for dinner here. I can send that out through my office and we can make things happen. That's easy. So, there's a lot of reach out, but some of it's, I want a job, I want to work with you, or I've applied for this. Sometimes they're like, oh, I can't wait to join Masa Al Arab, and I've applied for this position. And I think,
you're not doing a good start.
Wrong hotel.
A different hotel.
Wrong person. And I think, I'm not going to be able to help you when you got the basic wrong there.
That's tough, actually, in terms of dealing with all of that. So do you personally reply to everyone? Have you got a team that help you do that?
My PA helps me.
Yeah.
But otherwise it's just me.
Okay, because that's a full-time, that could be a full-time job.
It
replying
can be
to requests
a full-time job.
how many rooms have you got?
Yeah, we have 292 rooms,
Goodness,
but they're as busy as our restaurants. So I find sometimes, we're so lucky with the property, and we have 2 outlets that are actually 85% residential, as in external guests, which is Shimmers and Cala Vista. So we have a huge following, and we have a huge footprint and movement throughout the hotel. And it's a lot of contact. So I don't answer everybody. As I said, some things are not appropriate, or I don't have the time. But if someone reaches out with a message that will attract my attention, or it's something I can help with, then you'll hear from me.
Oh, I remember the first time visiting the hotel when it first opened. I have been in the UAE that long, and it was
21 years it's been here.
And it was clear at the time, and there's a picture of me with the Burj Al Arab just behind on. I can't remember which outlet I would have been, but it was just. I mean, it still is to still be as iconic as it is.
Absolutely.
20 years later, it's impressive.
It's so impressive, and this is the beauty of having such iconic assets on this beachfront with Jumeirah. They have a place in people's hearts. There's a huge loyalty following. They're visually iconic, and people have memories there. They got married there. They had a graduation there. Their families, now the grandchildren are coming. And I love these stories, and I love that now Jumeirah, we're evolving the brand as well, and there's real growth mentality at the moment. And what I love in the story that's evolving is we're going back to our Arabic roots, and we're proud of that, and that's a messaging that I think is so important, because that's one of the reasons I joined the company. And I'm really proud of that. There's nothing like this in the world.
Yeah. And I think as they've opened up, Jumeirah London, New York, having that Arabic heritage, and this is the way that we do things, like hospitality. I think it's tough now traveling anywhere in the world, because you go, well, it's not Dubai.
Yeah.
And then you question everything, or it's not Dubai 5-star. So you book 5-star somewhere else, and you're thinking...
And it's not the same.
It really isn't. And do you think that is down to the heritage behind it all, that hospitality, Arab hospitality, is second to none?
It is, and it's also this city and the vision of this city. I mean, when I was home recently in Australia, I was so excited to say, we have such a good life. I said, I don't even need to fill my car with gas. I have an app, and you do this and it comes to your house. They were, no. And, the theory of, we have bus nannies for the children when they're young on the bus. It's a
bus nannies?
Yes. So when my children were in the primary school, there was a nanny on the bus that was just there to look after the children and get them to school.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's the bus driver, but there's the bus nanny. And the nanny's the one that's on the bus, put your seatbelt on, make sure everybody's okay. So for me, that was such a relief as a working mum, because I didn't have an option to do the drop-off and pickups.
Yeah.
We've evolved to a driver now, but for many, many years, that was extremely, extremely important. And there's all of these things that are here to make our life easier. And we live in luxury without realising that everything's become so much easier for us. Everything's at the tap. The technology here is amazing. And that's another myth buster, is people keep saying that for hospitality, hospitality, will we be replaced, with the technology? You can't replace luxury for the personalised service. So I don't think that's going to take over.
I think that's a really good topic and something to be explored. So what's next for you? What's on the horizon? What's the goals? Where are you heading to? I mean, what comes after GM?
Oh, look, there's so many ways you can diversify, honestly. You can go into a cluster GM or a managing director role and, have multiple properties. You might go into pre-openings. You might take that step into corporate, which is, there's so many things that you can do. And honestly, for me right now, I've always travelled with this role. So I want to grow with the company. And if the company is expanding and into new areas and new destinations, that's for me. That's absolutely for me. I want to take what we've created here and bring it to life somewhere else. That to me would be an amazing project and achievement to have. So that's definitely a visionary goal for me. And if I look more short term, right now, if I feel like I'm sinking into the summer's almost over and we're about to go into high season. So I'm already looking at quarter four's done. I'm looking at next year. We're looking at our budgets and what our projects are and what we want to strategize for. So I feel like I'm already living in 2025 at the moment. Yeah. So for me, I'm exactly where I should be. Yeah. And I'm very, very lucky that there's been a lot of investment in the property. And we're reopening Shimmers and Colour in October this year with beautiful new additions. Ooh. And I'm so excited about that. And that's something that takes a lot of my energy at the moment with the team so that we deliver the promise. And at the same time, I'm already looking at 2025 going, what's our focus and what projects are we going to work on and who's here and who's promoting? And we also have the opening of Masa Al Arab coming up, which is going to be big and it's going to really change. That's our flagship. So that's the new look of Jumeirah and the way forward. And I'm excited to see that and see the team deliver that. It just doesn't stop in hospitality. We always say the goalposts are changing daily and weekly and monthly, and I really feel that. The way I started this year, I couldn't imagine I'm sitting where I am, with summer about to end and we're entering into September shortly. So there's a lot. Everything's rosy in the future. Right now, I'm really focused on getting the kids to school on Monday. I've got to survive next week.
Absolutely. The routines.
Yeah, getting them back into structure and back into schedule. Yeah. So everything shifts, but that's a little taste of what's in store for the future.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So as every episode wraps up, I love to ask a few impromptu questions. So I've created them. If I pass them over to you, a little shuffle. And feel free to take a couple.
Done. Well, I'll take one of each, shall I?
Go for it.
Done. And I'm reading these out?
Yeah.
All right.
You can read my handwriting. This is the first time
I can't read it.
Do you want me to?
The book I recommend most often. Oh, I've got an answer for this one.
Love it.
Gina Ford, A Contented Baby.
Oh, that was not what I was expecting. Brilliant.
It was my saviour when I was having Lila, my first daughter. I was in hospital. I had her in Thailand, in Bangkok. I was going home and I was like, how can you let me leave the hospital? I don't know what I'm doing. I need a manual.
And
I'm not prepared. So it was a book someone else had given me and I hadn't really read books, to be honest. But now I found myself in a position where I was really overwhelmed and I didn't know what to do. And I wasn't asking my mum for advice because it felt so long ago for her and I didn't know what to do as step one. But I opened this book and it gave me advice that worked for me. And it's a book that helps you balance being a working mum. It is about putting your baby on a routine, and there's a lot of people that don't agree. The baby should be in charge versus the mother putting the baby in a routine. But I was going back to work and I needed routine. And it worked. It worked for Lila and it worked for me. And I had her sleeping through the night in no time, which meant I was getting sleep. So I was able to function better.
Win.
And it was like win-win. So when I'm talking for working mums that want to work, it's not for everybody, but it definitely worked for me.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a really good practical. Everything's got to be practical.
Next question. The podcast I recommend most often. Oh, it's going to be you, my dear.
This was the first time I put that question
Yeah.
in. Is there another one that you like for people? Do you listen much to podcasts?
Look, I do, but I listen a lot to TED Talks.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so, and I find that like visual for me as well. And with the time frames being short,
because you know that
I'm time bound
yes,
and I'm time pressured. But to be honest, you know, podcast was something where, because I'm time precious, I didn't have the time to be looking at what topics and what things I wanted to do, which I found internet-based I could with TED Talks because I was listening to them frequently. So, you know, with you, I did research, right? So I was like, right, I want to know more about this amazing woman. So I've listened to a lot of them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And, you know, I love that you're always in wanting to inspire people and, you know, you're asking people to say, you know, what did they take out of it? But I took out of, you know, listening to different ones, the people you have are super interesting and very diverse.
Yeah.
And I really like that they're authentic.
Yep.
You know, this thread you have on personal branding and people being themselves comes across.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Yeah. So for me,
you.
you know, that's, you know, there's more to listen to. I couldn't get through them all. But I'm on Spotify and I've got you there and they're all downloaded. So, yeah.
Is there a standout TEDx talk that you've really enjoyed?
I love all the ones around balancing work and motherhood.
Yeah.
There's not one in particular.
Yep.
There is one with you, which was with Donna.
Oh, yes.
I thought that was fabulous. I think she's amazing as well.
She
I think
is.
her story is inspirational. I've met her a few times and I love her energy and I love what she's achieved. And I was actually listening to that one recently for the second time.
Oh.
And I think that was one that struck home. I think probably culturally because we're both from the same area.
Yeah.
She's been in Dubai a lot longer, but I love what she's achieved. And I love that she's very honest about, you know, her journey as well.
We'll actually link that episode so that people can hear that as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no,
I
what a
know that
pleasure.
you are incredibly busy, but I really appreciate the value that you've shared, the inspiration that you've given to working mums, but to those balancing both, and for those that want to maybe step into a career in hospitality. You know, you're definitely a shining light on it's a career that can be for life and
Absolutely.
that you enjoy.
Yeah,
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Do you know about our Brand New Accelerator program? This is designed to help accelerate your personal brand over the next 12 months. This hybrid program includes a 72-page playbook, a step-by-step guide to growing your personal brand. Along with the playbook, you'll have instructional videos that will help you and monthly calls with me to make sure that you boost your visibility and credibility and you're held accountable. Plus, we've included bonus sessions from industry experts, whether that's in PR, public speaking, AI writing, and social media. So whether your goal is to attract more clients, visibility, speaking opportunities, getting in the media, then Brand New Accelerator will help you achieve these goals and so much more. So book in for a call today and find out how you can accelerate your personal brand. If you've enjoyed what I've shared, give it a thumbs up if you are watching this on YouTube, or please give us some love on Spotify, subscribe to this, or if you're listening on Apple, then leave us a review. We very, very much appreciate it. Until next time, bye for now.